Thanks for joining me. My name is Josh Gottfried, partner and co-founder of Gottfried and Somberg Wealth Management. And I want to spend a couple minutes today talking about a different way of looking at the economy and all the positives that we've seen over the last 12, 24 months, really through a totally different lens than I think most of the media is viewing it right now. So as we talk through the economy, there's lots of different reasons why things go up and why things go down. But there's been this consistent question, which is, are things good? Are things bad? And consistently, what we've seen is that things are better than what most of the pundits have been talking about. And I think one of the reasons for that is what we've seen in household wealth. Now, there's a concept in economics called the wealth effect. And what the wealth effect basically says is that as you feel better with the amount of money that you have, you feel more comfortable spending money. And if we take a look at the household wealth since 2019, what we see is we've seen a consistent increase in it with the exception of a little blip after COVID. When we take a look at the reason for that, the majority of the reason for that wealth impact has been the value of houses. Houses have added about $16 trillion of additional value. That is, they've gone up by that much. And we've all seen that at home. When you take a look at what your house was worth a few years ago, and you go on to Zillow or Trulia or any of those other companies right now, and you use one of their estimates, very rarely does anything but a big smile come over your face because you're impressed with how much it's grown at that point. When you've seen houses sell in the neighborhood, my guess is the same thing. It's not uncommon for many of us to have a house sell and say, wow, I can't believe it went for that much money. And if we look at the consumer right over on the left-hand side of this slide, those are household assets of the in total of all of us in America. And you can see that homes are about 28% of that. So as those have gone up, homes are one of our largest assets, and actually it is our largest single asset. And so as that's gone up, it's made us all feel like we're more wealthy. Now there was a study that was done back before the Great Recession, and then it was updated more recently. And they had looked at what does that mean for most consumers? Because if our houses are worth more, if our balance sheet goes up, if we feel wealthier, and we spend more money because we're more comfortable spending money because of our wealth, how do you quantify that? And so the study went through a number of different ways that wealth could grow from the stock market, from business, from housing. And what they found was that actually from housing, the amount of spending that you do is the highest. And they looked at that, and before the Great Recession, for every dollar of extra growth in your house's value, people spent on average about 8 cents. After the Great Recession, that went down. But that means that probably in a situation like this, people are spending someplace between a nickel and about 7 or 8 cents extra for every dollar that their house went up. And so remember back a couple slides for how much value the housing market grew. The housing market went up by about $16 trillion in the past 4 years. So if we multiply that by someplace in the 5 to 8 cents per dollar, what we end up with is something where we saw spending go up by about $800 billion. And if we think about the underlying economy, consumer spending is the largest component of the underlying economy. And so when you have such an increase as we've seen over these last 4 years with wealth, and a commensurate increase with the amount of spending, you can imagine why things have been looking as good as they are. And as we look forward into 2024, we consistently monitor what's going on in the economy and inflation, watching the bond and the stock markets, but we're also watching what's going on in housing and how this wealth effect is impacting all of us. I wish you and your families a safe and happy holiday season. Look forward to speaking with you next year. Take care.